Good morning, everybody. It's Aley Martin at Heart and Soul, and I just wanted to come on and chat with you for a little while this morning because I had some things going through my head, and so I thought I would come on and riff a bit about what was on my mind. Hoping everybody's doing well today. Our poor hospital community is very much in need of our love and light to surround them, especially these hospital workers and doctors and all people that have to work on the front lines. I think it's important, and I think it's something that we really need to consciously remember each day. Keep these people in our prayers and be grateful for them, and send love and light to them. Light is a wonderful concept. It doesn't really involve any more than trying to see light occur around someone and to provide them with the opportunity to feel healed if that's necessary, or to feel supported. It might not be that they even physically feel that light around them, but you know that you've placed it there and you've placed it around yourself as a light worker. One of the forms of service to the planet is to be a light worker. And there are many types of light working instruments, I suppose, that people would consider to be in that category. When we were living in Massachusetts, working at a place that was pretty rough. It was in a pretty rough neighborhood. When we first got there, we were a little worried. As a matter of fact, right next door, the McDonald's got robbed and the manager got shot. But anyway, getting back to my story, there was a few stories that I'd like to share with you about how we used our light as light workers to bring in customers to us, or bring in people that were interacting with us into a climate of kindness and compassion. We worked in a industry that had to do with a lot of people moving, a lot of people unsettled, a lot of people very angry, upset. But we also lived in a place that was also not very. It was rough around the edges. When we first got there, we had a group of things that we wanted to do for this particular facility. One of them was to, help increase a business for our owners, and we also wanted to serve as a light in their community. And we found more and more people came in to talk to us and started talking to us about light and about things that we were interested in. We had many who did not like us, or did not like the energy apparently that we were giving, because it was too kind for them. Apparently there are people out there that don't really, they look at you and they say, I don't know about you. What do you want? What do you want? When all you really want is for them to be happy, for them to be at peace, be understanding. And, I love what I understand why the Obama administration said, when they go low, we go high. I suppose a lot of people could find that to be particularly sappy in some cases. But in this case, um, it wasn't overtly discussed. It was only done with an eye to um, surrounding at least our building and the entire area in which we lived with white light and love in our minds. Um, Soon we had a lot of people coming in, as I mentioned, and we had one lady that particular that always came in, and she always wanted a hug from my husband, which I was happy to see her get. She was a woman who was probably in her 70s at the time. She didn't have a good home life. She wasn't very happy. But every time she came in, she'd say, "Can I have one of those hugs from you, Keith?" And he would give her the hug. Um, One day, she came in and she was a bit rattled, and Keith couldn't figure out why. And he said to her, "You okay? You all right? There's something going on. What's wrong? Talk to me." And she said, "No, I'm fine. I'm just late. I gotta go. I gotta go." And he said, "Well, you can't go unless I give you a hug first." And of course, she could have said no. We were separated by a barrier. She wanted one. She got one. A month later, when she came in to see us, she asked where my husband was. He was having lunch or something, and I was the only one covering the office. And she said, "I want you to know that your husband saved my life." And I said, "He did? Wow. How did he do that?" She said, "The last day that I came in," she said, "I was planning on committing suicide and driving my car into the, off the rocks, into water. And just," she said, "I'd had it. I wasn't going to live. I didn't want to live anymore. And I figured I better come in here and pay my bill, and because I'm not going to leave them without having a good report for the month." And she said, "And your husband knew something was wrong, and he asked for a hug. And I got in my car and I started to cry because I realized that somebody cared about me. Somebody saw me." And I got goosebumps. I was very chilled by that. I thought it was fabulous. You don't usually hear when you're that transformative of somebody's plan. And it made me admire my husband so much more, because he intuitively knew that this particular woman was going through a hard day. It wasn't like her. This wasn't like her. So light working isn't anything that's odd or strange. I would think it's more of a meditation or an idea of surrounding somebody with light and love, much like a prayer. Not asking for anything specific for them, just an upliftment of their etheric energy around their bodies, and knowing that somebody cares about them, looking them in the eye and smiling at them, being seen. And I think this is very, very true, especially of older women and men who are not seen. They are brushed aside because they're slow. They're doing something that they're people think they're crazy, or they smell, or they whatever that problem is. We also had another man come in one time, and he always paid in cash for everything he did, and he came in after his paycheck. I'm sorry, his Social Security check came in every month to pay his bill. And he paid his bill, and we said goodbye and have a good day. And, we always chatted with him. And I said, "I'm going to go to the restroom or go get my lunch or something." And I walked around the corner, and there was money on the floor. And I picked it up, and I knew it was his, because he was fiddling with cash. And I knew for sure it belonged to him. There hadn't been that many people in there that morning anyway. It was somewhere around $200 or more. And I knew that was the only money the man probably got every month, and he needed his money. So we got on the phone to leave him a message, and he never returned the call. We tried several times, and he came in the next month to pay his bill. And my husband said to him, "Do you know that you left something here when you came last month?" And he said, "What did I leave?" And he said, "You dropped quite a bit of money on the floor, and we've tried to reach you." He said, "Oh, I wondered why you kept calling me, because I paid my bill. I figured, oh, well, I don't need to call them back." And he said, "Here it is." And we gave it to him. And he was, I don't know why, but he was gobsmacked by it. He couldn't believe that we kept it and we put it aside and gave it to him. It was his money. These are such small things you can do, such small but meaningful things. And I've been the benefit of being on both sides of this in many times in my life. And I think it's even more important that we make sure we do it now, when we're going through all these hellacious times that we're going through. And even if we're not out and about, we can do it here. We can do it in other ways. You could Zoom with somebody, or you could send them a letter, write a letter and mail it. Maybe not now, it's Christmas, you're busy, but maybe in February sometime when you have nothing more to do, write a letter to somebody. Tell them how much they mean to you. It's amazing. You will make their day, and maybe their life, who knows? You don't know the impact of a small, seemingly insignificant action or smile or day or any of that. So coming here today, I wanted to talk about two, in particular, also two other stories that I had. I have, I'm an old woman, so I have a lot of stories. And I've had some really great stories and really good ones. And soon we're going to have a nice lady that's going to come on and talk about healing stories. And I have another lady lined up to talk about other things. We're going to have a lot of different people talking about a lot of different things. And all of it centers around community, love, and appreciation. So by the way, something happened to me today. And I think I was listening to a horoscope, and somebody had said how important it was for me to communicate on video or writing, it said, but that I should put my heart and soul into it. And I thought, well, is this for me? I'm going to take it as a message for me. And I'm just going to come on and I'm going to talk about different things. And I'm not going to worry about having a particular agenda in mind. And I never did when I started the idea of riffing. But, you can understand why it's nice to have something up there so people can think about what it is you're talking about. So the other two stories I had were Christmas stories. And it's appropriate to tell them because it's almost Christmas. And I think even if it wasn't, if it was Hanukkah that you're celebrating, or it was any other, Kwanzaa, any other holiday tradition that you might have, it's always nice to hear a good story around the holidays, especially in a 2020 COVID year. So this first one was about a gift that I bought for my mother. And it was in 1981. And she had told me a story. My mother was born in 1920, and she told me of her poor upbringing. Her mother died when she was 5. Her father had 9 children to raise. He was busy. If he wasn't busy, he was imbibing, let's say. So she had to rely on her older sisters to help her. And at one point had I would call a short-term stepmother who came in and gave her some love, but later was found out not to be divorced from her husband. It was quite the scandal in 1927 or 8 or whatever it was. So my mother told me a story. She never got anything that she wanted. If she wanted a doll, she never got a doll. She wanted a doll for Christmas, and Santa didn't bring a doll for Christmas. So one day when I was working at my job at a bank, a lady came in and she brought in a few rag dolls that she had made. They were beautiful. And they had little yarn hair and eyes and little complimentary dresses and everything. And she was taking orders for Christmas. And I looked at it and I said, I would like to get one for my daughter because she was about 4 or 5. And I said, but would you make one for my mom? But would you make it with gray hair and granny glasses? And, and she said, oh, I like that idea. Yes, I'll do that. I can do that. And I said, her favorite color is purple, just like my daughter. So my daughter got a doll that looked like that doll, except it had blonde hair and it had the same dress on. And when I saw it, I was so happy. But there was something else that needed to be done to make that event even happier, I thought. So I put the doll into a box and I wrote a letter from Santa Claus and enclosed the letter inside the box. And it said, Dear Alice, while cleaning my sleigh before this evening's trip around the world, I found this tucked in the very, very back of my sleigh and realized that it needed to be delivered because it was almost 65 years after the day it was due. It was due in 1925. And it somehow got slipped up. I apologize. I am so sorry. And I hope you forgive me, love, Santa. P.S. This doll decided to change along with your aging process. And I hope that's okay. So my daughter was having Santa Claus come to the house that year. And Santa Claus arrived at the door. He came inside and he gave my daughter her gift. And then he turned to my mother and he said, Are you Alice? He said, I have a gift for you as well. And my mother was so surprised. And she said, You do? Me? Are you sure? And he said, Absolutely. My mother sat down and she was on the couch and she opened the box. She read the letter. And my mom was very, very emotional person, and she was just sobbing. And my girlfriend that was there with me, who was about 7 or 8 months pregnant, she's crying too. We're all crying. And it just was the most perfect gift in order for that Christmas. And just the look on her face, when she read the letter, but then she got the gift. It was fabulous. So think outside of the box sometimes. Think about how that person, how their life has been when you're thinking about gifting them something very different, something very special, because it really is. And it really, really matters. It really makes a difference. She never forgot it. And I have pictures still because we didn't have a video then. My other story for you is a story that happened to me while I was moving in 2007 to Washington State from New Hampshire / Massachusetts with my son. My son was an older child. He would have been in his 20s, and he was coming here for Christmas, and then he was going to board a ship where he would go all the way around the world and take classes. And while it really wasn't the best experience in a lot of ways academically, it was the best experience of travel that anybody could ever have asked for. It was just fabulous. He was gone for several months and met a lot of incredible people. So I decided to wait for his classes to end because he graduated, but he still had to take a couple of classes, and then he was going to be completely done with his bachelor's degree. We got in the car and we made our way across. And I, for some reason, just didn't even think about it, but I think we left around the 21st of December across the top part of the country. Now, I've driven in snow, but I want you to remember, I don't have any snow tires on. There's just he and I. And we got our car loaded up with our luggage, basically, a couple of blankets and pillows, just because if one of us wanted to take a nap, we'd have that. And we're driving along. The first night we got, somewhere where we stopped. I can't remember when, but the second night I do remember we were in Missouri, and it was icy, and there was ice everywhere, and we were rolling all over the roads. And we continued on until we got into to Wyoming. And we made our way through halfway of Wyoming, I would say, and on our way into Idaho. And all of a sudden, there was a snow squall that came up really big. I mean, really big. And I'm driving in it, and I'm realizing that it's not going to go away. It just keeps coming. It keeps coming. So I'm thinking, we've got to pull over. We've got to find a place to stay because it's cold. And we need a hotel room, motel, whatever. We just need something. We can't be on the road or in the car. It's cold. So I pull over and go down into the town in the first exit as I'm sliding all over the road into the town. And we pull up, and there's a motel there. And I thought, oh, thank God there's a motel. And we look, and it's completely shut down. Nobody's there. I think it was completely closed. I don't even think it ever was open. I mean, it had shut down completely. And I'm driving around to see if there's anything else, and there isn't. But I saw a car that was at the post office waiting to go in and get their mail or something, I don't know, or get stamps. So I pulled in behind that car, and I went in and went up to the woman who had gone into the post office. Apparently she was getting her mail. And I said, I'm sorry to bother you. It was Christmas Eve by this time, by the way. I said, but my son and I are traveling together, and we need to know where there's the closest hotel or motel. I said, we've been looking around, and can you tell me where we can find one? And she thought for a minute, and then she said, well, no, but you can come to my house and stay at my house. And I said, what? And she said, yes, you can. We have a couple of couches if you and your son would like to come and spend the night on the couch, if you don't mind that. I said, oh, I could never do that. I just couldn't do that to you. It's Christmas Eve. And she had a lot of children in the car. Her husband was in the car, and 3 or 4 of her children. And they were young. And she said, no, we just went to Walmart and got a frozen pizza, and we're going to go home and we're going to make it. And then we're going to, get ready for bed and the kids. And I said, oh, but I can't. It's Christmas Eve. She said, no, it's fine. It's fine. And I just there were no words. I did not know her. She did not know me. She knew I had a son. Um, she thought probably that he was a bit younger than I am, but, he wasn't a child. We followed them to their house, and we got out of the car and we walked into the house, and she said, come on, this is where the couches are that you can stay, and come on, we're going to cook the pizza, you can have some. And I said, no, I said, we won't get in your way, we'll stay out of your way. It's Christmas Eve and you're with your kids and they need to have their time with you. And, oh no, it doesn't matter, she said. Come on, I want you to. I found out later her first name was Star, and I never heard of anybody whose name was Star before. I always wanted to be called Star, but I never was. But she was fabulous, and so was her husband and her children. And we stayed the night. And in the morning, it was probably 7 o'clock, and I said to my son, let's get up early and go. It stopped snowing. We should be able to make some time now where we're going. And he said, oh, yeah. He agreed with me. He felt he was just as shocked as I was that we were doing this. And so we made our way out the door, and Star said, oh, I think that you have to have a gift. And she handed me a candle or some bath salts or something like that. And I thought that was the most fabulous thing I did not want a gift, but it was the most generous thing I've ever seen in my entire life, to welcome a stranger, one you don't know, into your home. I don't know and it was 13 years ago, but we were living in the world of the internet and all the craziness. And so it's hard to tell, exactly what that was all about. So, what else do I want to say about that? I think my broadcast today is mostly about remembering things that are not normal from our own perspective, because there is no normal, to take heart and send love even in the most dismal of places. And right now, there's a lot of division. There's a lot of people angry, and there's a lot of rhetoric that has stirred up around a number of things here. People are labeling other people. They're using ad hominem attacks. Send them love. Send them love. You don't have to love them, but you can send them peace, light, love. And don't get yourself involved with their drama. We have a choice. We have a choice to stay or walk away. We have a choice to be nice or to be nasty. And I know how hard it is. We are so tired. We are all so tired. This has been terribly stressful for us. Every bit of it. It did not have to be this way. We did not have to have people who pushed back on things that were true and claimed to be other than true. Find yourself a little tiny area in your home that you can claim as your sacred space, if you don't have a room that you can dedicate to that sort of thing. I have a little corner. I have a big room, but I have a lot of different places, but I have a little corner right now behind me. And I have different kinds of cards, and I have lots of candles. And if you don't have a lot of money, you could just go to the dollar store and get yourself some dollar candles. It doesn't matter. Get some white ones. If you can find purple ones, they're spiritual. They could be considered to be spiritual. Your ritual and your sacred space does not have to look like anybody else's sacred space. It's you. It's part of you. It's your decision. Find that sacred space and return to it when you're feeling stressed. If it's a big enough sacred space that you can sit and write, get yourself a beautiful journal and just write. Write whatever you want. There are no rules. Eventually, after a period of time, you may want to get a nicer notebook or a nicer pen, or you may want to find a nicer a type of candle, or, but you need to take care of yourself. And in caring for yourself, you're spreading your white light. And if we all, even George H.W. Bush, I believe, said that we're all, pinprints of light across the world. Some of that light is clouded, some of it is uh, broken, but there are white lights out there too. And all it takes is for you to want that to be around you and in your life, and to really genuinely want other people that are around you to be in your life. And if they aren't somebody that makes you feel good, then you need to set boundaries. And that's very hard, especially for us older folks. It took me a long time to be able to do it. I didn't grow up setting boundaries. I didn't grow up learning some of the things that I learned later on. But the more that you can do it, you can meditate, you can spend time and listen to different music, you can spend time out in nature. Nature could be your sacred space. Walking could be your sacred space. It doesn't have to be a place. It can be here. But do it because you love yourself. And do love yourself. Ground yourself, hold on to your beliefs, and remember that nothing, nothing interferes with any other belief that you have unless you choose to make that so. I don't want you to think I'm here to push anything on anybody. This is for entertainment/educational purposes only. And it's just merely to share, to know that you're not alone, to know that you're connected, because we're all connected by indivisible strings. We are connected to our neighbors. We are connected to some people that we don't particularly care for. We can go through rituals to cut strings in our minds for those things. We can also go through rituals to cleanse ourselves, to make us feel more in tune with our intuition and other things. And also, we have the power to tell story and to live story and to make story, to make it. I was walking down a hallway once, and one of my colleagues was walking toward me. And I said, "Hello, how are you today? Oh, are you not good?" And she said, "How did you know?" And I said, "I don't know. You just look like you're sad or something." I don't have this psychic protection thing going on where I can see people, what they're thinking, but I can feel it. I can feel when something's off. And I said, "No," I said, "I just know you, and this isn't the person that I usually see when I see you. Not that you can't have a bad day, but are you okay?" And she was genuinely happy that I just asked her if she was okay. And sometimes that's all we all need. So are you okay? Namaste. Have a wonderful day. Make it a wonderful day. Until later, adios.